So when you're looking at some of those New York State computer-based test questions, they have some information listed here on the left-hand side and some on the right, and there's multiple questions, well, in this case two, that are attached to this section of writing. So how can we make that happen in eDoctrina? Well, let's take a look. All right, hello friends, it's Rick Bray with you once again from the Plick team at Broomtail Gabosies, and we're taking a look at how we can recreate those writing passages, text passages in eDoctrina. And really, there's kind of two parts to this video that we're going to look at. The first part is creating that text area with questions off to the right-hand side, and in eDoctrina, it's called a passage. So in the first part of this video, we're going to look at how to create that passage, and the other part is, what if you want to add additional questions to that passage after you make it? How do you do that? Well, that's going to be the first part. So let's dive right in, and you can see here with this question, I've already made the passage, and it looks like this may be how you've done it in the past, where like you put the text or the picture here, and then there's the question, and then you put the text again, and there's the question. But we wanted to have that mode where like it stays on the left-hand side even as I go question to question. And that's done with a passage, right? Because you can see the word passage right here. So what we're going to look at, I've done a couple of these. We're going to look at this question 5 here. So taking a look at question 5, there happens to be only one question that's associated with it, but I have some text here and I want the question over here. How do we get there? Well, this is sort of a backwards process. And what I mean by that is, if I was writing a test like in something like a Word document, I may want to make the passage and then put the question next to it. And that's how my brain naturally flows. But in eDoctrina, we have to do it a little bit reversed. And what I mean by that is, first, we have to make the questions, or at least the space for the question, right? Here I have question 5 already written out. I could also just have a blank thing in here to start with. And then we tag those questions to the passage. So let's see how we actually do that. I'm going to be working on 2 screens here. Here is where all of the information is for the text. I'm going to need to copy and paste this text, right? So that's good. I'm also going to need to get pictures of either these 3 individual things or one big picture using the screenshot tool. Knowing that, I know that question number 5 is the question I want to have in this passage. So to create the passage, I'm going to start by clicking on the left-hand menu, you guessed it, Add Passage button. When I click on that, it's going to bring up this little question box area that says, which questions do you want to apply? I can select them all, or I can unselect them all. I can click whichever questions are associated with this passage. But again, we said this is just question 5. So you select all the appropriate questions and then say proceed. And it will bring up this little pop-up window here. It's going to be important in a second when we start switching between windows to remember that this is a pop-up window, so it exists there. The top part here, this is all the information that was carried over when we made it. But right here is where we're going to type that passage in. So we're going to copy and paste and do some other things. So let's dive in. I'm going to head back to the sampler, and I'm going to click and drag to highlight all that text. Now, again, I notice that I can't do a right click because the platform here doesn't allow for right click copy. So instead, I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, either Control-C or Command-C, depending on what device you're on, to copy. And then again, it's a pop-up window, so it's not here. I need to go find that pop-up window. You may have to like click on the Chrome button if you're on a window and find it. And I'm going to use, again, the keyboard shortcut, Control or Command-V, as in Victor, to paste it. I'm going to do some other stuff here. I'm going to highlight everything, and let's try that again. Highlight everything. I'm going to click this little T button here that says remove formatting. That way it removes any weird formatting, and maybe I want to make it 14, a little bit bigger. To make it look just like the test, I'm going to make directions in bold, right? Directions in bold. Ooh, maybe I should make those bulleted lists, right? Let's see here. So we need these to be bulleted items. Where is my bulleted item? It's right there. Boop. And excellent. Now I'm going to space down. I'm just going to give myself a couple lines here. And next I need to grab a picture. So again, I'm just going to use my screenshot tool. Whatever device you happen to be on, any screenshot tool should get the job done. So I'm going to snip that picture and it saves it to my computer. You might be able to copy and paste images, but I'd rather select them because I always do that, pop-up window. In eDoctrina, we are going to, I know you might think this because it's a picture, right? It's an image, but that's going to kind of add it differently. It's going to add it as an attachment. I want to upload the image right to this question. So I'm going to click, might have gone too fast there. I'm going to click Upload Image, and then I'm going to go in and find that screenshot, which is this one, good, and say Open, and whammo, there it is. And I can resize it if I want a little bit. I can make it a little smaller so it's not taking up quite as much space. You can probably even get into some formatting things if you wanted to. But once you have everything, and I'm pretty sure, yep, that's everything. Once that's all set, I'm just going to click the Save and Close button. You can hit just Save, that's fine, but I do Save and Close because it just makes it go away. And what you'll notice is in question 5, it's going to say passage and show passage text. But when you revisit the question, or if I refresh the page, it will then show that passage. And it looks like it duplicates it just like it did here for each question, but that's not really what happens. It is attached to the passage, and you can see that if we preview online. And let's make this a little bigger. And again, if we snap over to question 5, yep, sure enough, there is our question, the text, and our answer choices. So excellente. And again, this is just simulating that computer-based test platform for New York State, because you certainly could just put this whole information in above the question, but then it would be it would literally look just like this, where it was a big vertically scrolling segment instead of that left and right window. Outstanding. So that is how you can create a question. But the question is, what happens if I wanted to add this question here, maybe to this whole thing on the North American beaver? Okay, how the heck can I do that? Well, the process is, it's not exactly how you might think, but it is pretty intuitive once you get to it. You want to select the question that you're looking to add. So I'm going to tick the little box next to the question I want to add, and any of the questions that are tagged to the passage that I want. So since I want this passage that's on question 1, I'll click 1. You don't have to select all the questions that are tagged, just one of them is completely fine. And then I'm going to click the Add Passage button. Now, when I click the Add Passage button, it's going to look a little bit different than it did before. In this case, it doesn't have me make a passage. It brings up this window. And the first question here, I can see the current passage is, and you may not necessarily know all these numbers, so that's why I'm explaining what it is. The one question has a passage currently. The other question does not have a passage currently. So I want to keep this one as it is, but for the new question that doesn't have a passage, I want to link that to my passage. I don't want to link it to a new one. I want to link it to the same one. And when all that's said and done, and you can do that for as many questions as you want to add, I'm just clicking the little radio button next to link to passage such and such, and it matches this one's current one. I can say proceed, and poof, just like that, my questions that previously were not added to a passage now are linked to that passage. So there you go, friends. That's how you can create passages, or sometimes we think about them as like stimulus-based questions when we're dealing with different content areas. But that's how you can make those in eDoctrina, and how you can add additional questions to a pre-existing passage. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. And as always, you can subscribe to this channel to get updates and notifications when new content like this video is posted. And most of all, thank you for watching.